everyone. We're delighted to have you join us today for our virtual information session hosted by HealthEquity. They are a locally headquartered company that now has a national reach, and we're delighted to hear more about them, learn from them directly from their Senior Director of Talent, and it's People and Talent, who is Greg Price. And he has a connection here to the U because he is an Eccles School alumnus from the MBA program in 2011. So we're glad to have him connect with all of our students and explain more about the wonderful culture that they have at HealthEquity. He's been with them for 10 years almost, and he is joined by Alyssa Crookston, who is the talent branding specialist. And she has an interesting story to tell about how she has developed in her career with the company. So we're looking forward to hearing from both of them today. So thank you very much.
All right, Deanna, thank you. I am going to advance a slide and make sure I can do it. There we are. All right, yeah, Deanna, thanks for the introductions and welcome everybody. Alyssa, if you want to jump in, give a little more introduction for yourself, what your role is here at HealthEquity and stories you'd like to share.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are having a good time quarantining at home. Anyways, like I said, my name is Alyssa. I have been with HealthEquity for just over 2 years. And I actually started at HealthEquity at our front desk. So a little bit about my background is I was in pharmacy for 8 years as a pharmacy technician, and my husband got a job and we moved about 2 hours away from where we kind of grew up and met. And it was at that time I was either let's go to pharmacy school, or if you're not going to do that, you got to figure out what you're going to do, because I kind of was maxed out at where I was as a tech. And so I was like, well, I can see this company, HealthEquity. I've heard of them before because I worked in pharmacy and had seen their cards, and I could see the building from my front porch. So I was like, I'll apply there. No, everyone wants that short of a commute. So I applied and I ended up getting the position at the front desk. I was there for 7 months when I had the opportunity to apply for the recruiting coordinator position. And after that, I had been in that position just over a year, and I have recently moved to this talent branding specialist position. One thing, though, that I do really love about HealthEquity is something that I'm passionate about is growth, and I always continual growth is something that I always strive for, whether it be learning a new skill or just developing my career in any way. And HealthEquity is also passionate about that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really love HealthEquity is that they value the growth of their team members. And so I had the opportunity while I was at the front desk to mentor under Natalie Atwood, who is our SVP of People. And that's when I had the opportunity to move on to the actual people team as a recruiting coordinator. At that point, it was really cool because I just got really submerged in all things people or all things HR, and I've learned a lot. It's been school of life for sure. I have never had a job in the HR world before, and so I'm learning as I'm going. But what's really great is HealthEquity's support in that. Really, if you invest in them, they will invest in you. So I think that's one of the things that has got me into HealthEquity at the beginning was just the fact that it was close by. But the reason I stay is the fact that everyone is invested in your growth. And if you are really a hardworking team member, you will see the grapes of that and be able to develop and really grow within the company. And they have a lot of internal promotions because they like to see their team members grow. And I think that's one of the things that makes us really awesome is not only do we grow externally, but internally you have so many opportunities from mentorship or lunch and learns and things like that, that they really just invest in your development. So that's kind of my story with HealthEquity. I absolutely love it. And Greg's, I've gotten to work with Greg a lot, and he is awesome to work with. And so I think you guys have a lot of good things coming to you today, lots of great information about the company. So I'll let him kind of take it from here.
Alyssa, thank you. And wonderful picture, by the way, with the Disney aficionado. It's great to see a little bit of personality there as well. And great story and introduction to be able to set the stage. And so I'm going to come back to that story that Alyssa said towards the end of the presentation, because I think there's some valuable highlights to pull out of that for anybody looking to develop or further their career. Some advice that I would have personally given myself a long time ago as I was trying to navigate, what career is most fulfilling and advantageous for me. To start with introductions with myself, Diana set it up, well. I am a BYU grad, a U grad as well for my MBA. I got an MBA at BYU, but I bleed blue from Michigan, if you can't tell from right over there. I bleed blue from Michigan, and so I'm originally from the great state of Michigan. Yeah, and so there's the Go Cougars in there as well. Wonderful. And so, I've been very appreciative of Utah, and the economy has been very strong here in Utah overall. And so it's been great to keep me here and have a wonderful career with HealthEquity. I have been with HealthEquity for about 10 years. And so I started at HealthEquity when I was getting my MBA at Utah, and I was in my second year of the program. And my goal in getting an MBA from University of Utah was to go work for a big Fortune 500 company. I wanted to go work for a large-scale company where I could learn efficiency and processes. And I had a job offer from a Fortune 50 company up in Seattle. And I turned it down because I was working at HealthEquity. And at that time, HealthEquity, we had 100 people. So 10 years ago, we had about 100. Today, we have more than 3,000 people. And so there's been a lot of company change going from a company that small of 100 to 3,000, but it's been extremely fulfilling to see that growth. I typically don't have this. This is my quarantine beard going on today. But you adapt with the times and changes. So excited to be here today. Love being able to, when I was a student, be able to attend a number of these types of sessions. And we'll get into some of the content for today. Let me make sure I can, there may be a little bit of lag with my internet and advancing screens here. So if you can bear with me a moment. Or another moment. There we are. Okay, so expectations for today. What's in it for us? Being able to come here and talk to a number of individuals regarding what we have going on at HealthEquity. I really believe, and I'm pretty biased, that we have a good story to tell. We are headquartered here in the Salt Lake Valley area, but I don't believe that we have enough as much recognition as we potentially could. And, I'm relatively fine with that because our goal is to continually have expectations exceed our talk. And so as long as we're able to deliver in that, then, we'll win. It's a good thing to have. But we do have a lot of opportunities throughout the organization. And at the end of the day, it's great talent coming in to be able to enhance the culture. You'll learn a little more about our culture during this presentation today, but our culture really is something that is unique to our founder and our executive leadership, and then throughout the company as a whole. And it's through individuals' passion and interests and things that will have them light up that really make the culture. And a little bit of spoilers to that. While I'm going to talk about our business as, to learn more about our business and our products of health savings accounts and COBRA and commuter and flexible spending accounts, we believe that you don't necessarily need to be proficient in all that stuff. We can teach HSAs, health savings accounts, or some of the technical aspects of the business. You can't teach a lot of the soft skills that individuals develop in terms of being collaborative or communicative or team-centric and caring, genuine, authentic. And so that's what really enhances our culture, is finding those attributes to come into our organization. I'd like to ask, in terms of what's in it for you, and obviously we'll have a bit of a Q&A at the end of the session, but to think at this point in time and potentially write down, what would you hope to walk away from this presentation today? so that at the end, when we're able to close, you can ask whatever questions, make sure that you're achieving that objective. We're spending time being able to meet together virtually today, and so let's make sure that we're helping to meet your expectations, and whether we can do it through the Q&A or you follow up with us directly after, let's make sure that we can meet your expectations, whatever they may be. So let's get into it. And with this presentation, I'm going to break it down in a few different sections in terms of what is our business and how we're structured, and then some of the opportunities or perks associated to it. But start with the basics. We're in a new world right now with COVID-19 and navigating COVID-19. I won't go into all the details of it, but just to give a little preference of how it's impacted HealthEquity and where we stand today and how we're operating. The best piece of advice that I would recommend for anybody interested is being able to visit on our website. You can see on that top banner, it talks about see our response to COVID-19, and for our members, see our response to COVID-19. The aspects that I'll highlight in terms of where we are today, it is a challenging economic time. When I was graduating with my undergrad in 2008, it was an economic recession at that point in time. And it was a challenging time in 2008 as a job seeker, graduating college, being able to figure out, kind of what next steps were. We were able to navigate it and recover. Right now with COVID-19, HealthEquity as a business, we are operating well. We are hiring in many different roles. We've expanded a number of the roles that we're hiring in, and I'll highlight those towards the end of the presentation. But to highlight a few aspects of it, we have about 98% of our company, of our 3,000 individuals, in a work from home status. And we're interviewing and hiring and onboarding individuals currently fully remote, fully virtual at this point in time. It's a new skill for us. It's something that we haven't done to this level, obviously. And it's something you adapt with the times and modify with it. And we were able to transition these individuals in a work from home status within a 2-day or less time period. And I believe the stat was somewhere around 85% of the team was able to transition immediately remote. So it's great being able to be prepared as a business. I guess that is the main takeaway here. We focus heavily as an organization on service and service to our members and our partners. And I'll describe a little more about who those individuals are. But if we're unable to meet those service expectations because of business continuity risks, we had an earthquake, and if the earthquake were to impact our building and how we would be able to operate and the infrastructure with that, we're currently in a pandemic, and how we're able to transition to be able to maintain that service commitments and maintain high bars with that. We're prepared as a business to be able to navigate that, and there's more aspects to our response that you can visit on our website in terms of how it's impacting us. Main takeaway to highlight, we're in a work from home position, and we are navigating it as well as we can, and it's pretty great at this point in time. So to start talking about what is HealthEquity, and this is going to be an introduction. If you're not necessarily familiar with HealthEquity in terms of who we are or what we do, this is what we're trying to solve for. So first, our mission is around connecting health and wealth. So the baseline of our mission, if you research HealthEquity, connecting health and wealth. And what does that mean? Well, our healthcare is expensive. Healthcare is expensive overall, and there's different challenges that are trying to be solved within healthcare. And we believe that through consumer-driven healthcare, now if we had probably about another hour or so, I'd love to spend a lot of time in terms of talking about consumer-driven healthcare and what that means, but more or less empowering individuals to make better, smarter healthcare choices and be more empowered. When it's your money, you are more careful with it than when it's somebody else's money. So for example, when you already hit your deductible, or the insurance is paying for it, you may not be as savvy as a consumer because, well, it feels like it's somebody else's money. But what happens is then your premiums go up and up and up. And we can see from different stats, healthcare premiums are rising faster than the cost of inflation or the general economy. That's unsustainable. So how do we help reverse that model? And that is what our business is trying to achieve from a health perspective. Now, from a wealth perspective, it focuses in retirement, but in addition to retirement, it also focuses in financial savings for your health or your retirement. And the stats are somewhere along the lines of that. Just as a nation of in America, Americans have not necessarily saved enough for retirement in general. We're just not natural savers as a society. And the stat is somewhere around like 15% of Americans don't have any retirement savings at all. And then 56% don't necessarily know how much they need in order to retire. In addition to that, the challenge to be able to articulate with what's happening here is the stat is the average American household income is $73,000. So the average American family is earning $73,000, and they have roughly, I think the stat is somewhere around $62,000 of living expenses. That leaves that $11,000 that you see in the middle there available for healthcare and retirement expenses. What typically happens is, well, healthcare is expensive. The average American, the health premiums on average is about $6,200, and then out-of-pocket expenses is roughly $4,700. You do the math of that available $11,000, that's all going towards your health care, and you're not saving enough for retirement, where they say you should be saving roughly between 10 to 12, max 15% of your income towards retirement, and that would be that 11,000 target. The gist is, healthcare is expensive. I'm not going to be able to save enough for retirement. If you're not able to save enough for retirement, you're not retiring when you're able to at retirement age, and you likely have more healthcare needs spending on healthcare, and it's an unproductive cycle. And so how can we as a company help connect health and wealth? And there's the mission: connect health and wealth. How we help do that, and there's a lot more that I could get into with this, but ultimately help individuals navigate this continuum from disengaged consumer to more efficient spender, confident consumer, and health saver. And with that, I share my own story here. This is me when I was younger and thinner and less facial hairy as well. And that was my boy, my firstborn son here. This is when I was finishing my first year of MBA school at the University of Utah. And we were moving to Phoenix, Arizona for the summer. And our boy here was about 4 months old. And when we were moving to Phoenix, Arizona, we lost our insurance because we were still students, and we lost our insurance going down to Arizona. Our boy was sick with what we thought was an ear infection. And with an ear infection, what we knew as first-time parents is you get the pink medicine, the amoxicillin, to help with the ear infection. We go to an on-call pediatrician, and they recommended, let's do some tests. So we did some tests. We did a mouth swab, we did an x-ray, we did a urine sample, and we did a blood sample. And we did a blood sample on my 3-month-old baby, and to take blood, you can't take blood through a vein in the arm, they had to take blood through a vein in the head. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, this seems a bit excessive for what we believe as an ear infection. We don't have insurance. This is going to be really expensive, but you know what? That's what we're supposed to do. And so we did it. And at the end, spoiler alert, after $700 and 4 tests later, it was an ear infection, and we got the $8 medicine, amoxicillin. I, at that time, was a disengaged consumer. I did not feel empowered to know what are my options available to me? What questions can I ask my doctor to be able to make sure that I'm purchasing the right type of healthcare for what we needed at that time? There's a lot more that I could add to that story, but that's the gist. And how can we help individuals go from that state of disengaged consumer to then you're going to be an efficient spender? You're going to spend money on healthcare. Why not spend tax-free dollars on healthcare? And that's what a lot of our products do. And then confident consumer, you're going to spend money on healthcare. How do we help you spend the right amount of money on healthcare? And by right amount of money, the example that I use is if you get a bee sting, do you need to go to the emergency room for it? Some people may need to. The general population may not need to go to the emergency room. They could go to a family physician or telemedicine or take a Flintstone vitamin and a Band-Aid and be okay, you know? So there's different options available. How can we help with price transparency tools and whatnot to be able to provide the right level of healthcare consumption? And then in terms of healthcare savings, being able to, the money that you're not spending, being able to save and invest in, for example, 401ks or HSAs, health savings account. The last stat that I'll say in here, to just kind of sum up what we're trying to solve as a business, is there's roughly, the stat is around 1/4 of all healthcare expense is due to wasted expense, due to inefficiency navigating healthcare costs or over prescription of medical care. And so how can we help individuals be more empowered to navigate the financial healthcare? That is what we're trying to achieve. So now, talking more about the company, transitioning about the company, I'll start with our founder, Steve Neeleman. This article was taken, you can see the date, March 4th, 2020. So about a month and a half ago, right before the quarantine occurred, Steve Neeleman, our founder, was recognized as an entrepreneur of the year. He is the founder of HealthEquity, and he has a background of being a football player up at Utah State. He was a linebacker for Utah State, so he's a big guy. But he was also a practicing trauma surgeon for a number of years. And in healthcare, he saw, you know, this kind of inefficiency in healthcare with patient doctor. And he started HealthEquity to bring more consumerism to healthcare and also superior education to healthcare. We recognize that finances, investment, healthcare, that's difficult and potentially intimidating for a lot of individuals to navigate. So how can we become experts in our field to provide superior education towards it? In addition, Steve Neeleman likes to party. He's a lot of fun. And so he sets the tone for our company and our company culture, which is deemed as purple. You can see him decked out as a lot of purple there. I'll highlight what purple means in the next few slides here. One small connection that I'll make here as well is that Steve Neeleman is the brother of Dave Neeleman, who was the founder of JetBlue Airlines, who's also starting a local airline here in Utah currently as well. And so you'll see some similarities between JetBlue and HealthEquity at times in terms of some of their operating models, as their brothers being founders of these companies. So more about HealthEquity in terms of where we are and who we are. This is not a picture that I took. We have hang gliders. HealthEquity, we are located on the point of the mountain, and there we have the hang gliders flying over our buildings, and those three yellow circles are where our buildings are located. So we have that first building in the middle there. That is one that we've had since 2007. We've built a building to the right of that building, and that building has been there since 2016. And then to the left in that grassy area, that building was set to open a month ago in March. But obviously with quarantine, we're delaying that opening till we're all back in office. So we are headquartered here in Salt Lake City. Here locally in Utah, we have more than 1,200 team members, and we do focus on team members, not employees. And we also have a work from home population. We have our customer service who is open 24/7, 365. And we have these individuals work in office, but then also a large portion of these individuals work from home. And so we'll set them up full time to be able to work from home, and they will typically support the service and education side in evenings and weekends at times as well. And nationally, we have expanded recently, where in August of 2019, HealthEquity acquired a company called WageWorks. And WageWorks has been established since early 2000 and was established as a founder is John Kessler, founder of WageWorks, and John Kessler is the current CEO of HealthEquity. And so it's a bit of coming full circle for him as well, that HealthEquity and WageWorks combining together. And with that, I'm going to move my Zoom thing so I can see to the side here. We have more than 3,000 team members total throughout all our office locations, and we have offices in the various sites you see here: San Mateo, California; Tempe, Arizona; Irving, Texas; Alpharetta, Georgia; Louisville, Kentucky; Milwaukee, Wisconsin; and Draper, Utah as well. So, last few slides to highlight in terms of who we are, then getting into more of the companies here. So I mentioned what we're trying to achieve as connecting health and wealth. These products that we do that with are tax advantaged accounts. Individuals are going to spend money on healthcare. Why not spend it tax-free? People are going to save money or invest in markets such as 401k or health savings accounts. Why not being able to save tax-free as well? People are going to spend money on commuter and other benefits associated to this. Why not spend money tax-free? And so that is what we do. There are other companies that do what we do, but this is all that we do. And in what we do, we are the largest HSA non-bank custodian. So other companies that do what we do, companies like Fidelity or Bank of America, and they do what we do, but they also do a lot of other things as well. So those are the companies in which we compete with. And in the industry, we are near the top, within the top two in the industry. We have more than 12 million accounts members. The stat is somewhere around the line of like our products are in 1/8 of all American households. And we have well-established partners. Partners like American Express, Walmart, Google, Capital One, FedEx, so on and so forth, partner with HealthEquity in this effort. And we are a publicly traded company in NASDAQ as well. Talking a little more about our culture, more internally, what it may mean for career opportunities. HealthEquity has been listed as by Utah Business as one of the best companies to work for the past 7 years, and then also by Salt Lake Tribune as one of the top workplaces for the past 5 years. And they've only done it 5 years, so it's 5 for 5 there. Dedicated to the Purple Service. So Purple Service, what does that mean? If you learn more about HealthEquity, you'll see a lot about Purple, and Purple is coming from the book Purple Cow by Seth Godin. It is a traditional marketing book, but it talks about transforming your business by being remarkable. The key definition to Purple is remarkable. Key aspect of our culture is being remarkable. But we recognize that there's a lot of different ways to achieve remarkable, and not everybody has the same formula to achieve remarkable. And that's where we look for candidates or individuals to come in with their own passion, their own interests, and they can contribute to remarkable in different ways. Our culture is not one where it's, set outlined for you, where you take this step and then you take that and then ta-da, magically you become purple. You bring something to the table that helps achieve that remarkable aspect. And it's something that has been unique. The aspect that I share for me in terms of what it means for Purple is being genuine, being authentic. You genuinely want to learn, you genuinely want to take ownership, you genuinely want to strive to do your best, and it's intrinsically internally motivated, which makes for a really positive workplace. When you have 1,000 or 3,000 plus individuals really striving for that, it makes for a great place to work and a great place to be, in which I'm biased, but as a genuine bias, I've come to enjoy it in many ways. Oh no, I skipped ahead a little bit. So last few slides here before we get into some of that Q&A, talking a little more specifically in terms of what some of the career aspects are. There's not necessarily one that I would call out more than another. We do have a lot of customer service roles. That's where we hire a lot of volume. As Alyssa mentioned too earlier, we do promote from within quite a bit. And so there's opportunities where individuals can start in various different roles and be able to navigate their career and be able to promote internally and navigating the right spot for them. But we have, pretty standard business operations in terms of technology. We are a very heavy tech shop, so a lot of software development. We are considered, high tech or technology company at its core, and then also financial and banking at our core as well. A lot of IT, product sales, marketing, finance, people, HR. We talk about people team instead of an HR team. Some relationship management, analytics, data. And so we can obviously get more specific, if there's questions during a Q&A, but then also visiting our website at healthequity.com/careers, being able to see more specifics about what those mean. In terms of some of the perks, obviously we have traditional benefits that, in terms of, base salary and performance bonuses and different things, competitive benefits with medical and dental and things like that. But some of the more unique benefits to be able to highlight, Alyssa touched on earlier in terms of a mentorship program, being able to have access really to anybody within the organization. We have a very open organization overall, where if anybody wanted to reach out or schedule time with any of the executives or anybody within the company, it's something that is open and available to be able to, engage and learn and develop in that regard. We do have tuition assistance program, a program we call movement money, which is a different way of calling gym reimbursement. We recognize that if we were to give a gym reimbursement, typically those who would use a gym reimbursement already have a gym membership. So we allocate a gym membership fund or benefit to what we call as movement money. And so however we have money to be reimbursed for individuals to be active. So if they are active through skiing or running or whatever it may be, there's different lists, then they can get reimbursed for that physical activity that they're participating in. We have something called CDH Change, which are wellness programs. CDH is the consumer-driven healthcare to promote health and well-being. We have different categories with, mental health or financial, physical, nutrition, and as you participate, you can earn up to $1,000 per year through that program. Paid time off to be able to volunteer. Recognition program, peer-to-peer, where everybody is given a certain amount of funds each month to be able to provide money to a peer to say thank you. Pet insurance, which is relatively new. Unfortunately, I don't have a pet, but it is relatively new to the organization here, but something that the team asked for and we were able to provide. And last one that I'll call out here in terms of heavy contributions to the HSA. At the core of what we are, HealthEquity is a health savings account administrator. And the health savings account is very similar to a 401k. Employer put money in it, grows tax-free over time, you use it for a purpose. For 401k, you're using for retirement, and it's either tax going in or tax going out, depending on what 401k you have. And HSA is tax-free the whole way, tax-free money going in, growing, investing, and being spent on right medical qualified expenses. And we contribute a good amount of money towards that, roughly, depending on single or two-part married family status, up to $2,000 to $5,000 per year into the HSA for each team member annually. Last slide before we kind of close it up and open up to a few Q&As. The things that I would say in terms of advice to you. When I was a student, I didn't necessarily know that my career would be where I am at this point in time. Alyssa, and talking about her story, where she was a pharmacy tech for a number of years, and then was able to come to HealthEquity, and this is her third role within HealthEquity as a talent branding specialist. My advice is to be able to really connect with the right companies, being able to research. There's a lot of great companies up and down the Wasatch Front, and just in general, there's a lot of good employers out there. Finding the great companies and looking for those top companies and getting in with them, because top companies want to retain and develop top talent. And so if you can find your way an opportunity to, get good spots with these companies and being able to put in work and effort, being able to be promoted, retained, developed in that regard. Connect and reconnect. And so it's another way of saying network, but make effort to establish connections, and also know and understand that timing plays a big part of it as well. That things don't necessarily always pay off immediately, but being able to reconnect and re-engage and find the right timing for when things can align for you. And then, doing the research on the companies you are getting familiar with. The last piece of advice that I would say here as well is job descriptions, don't do a great job of really articulating a company, but then also a job. Job descriptions are relatively limited, in addition to resumes at times are relatively limited. So the way that you see a job description but not get intimidated, still apply, still connect, see if there can be right opportunities to be able to connect with the right people. So with that, in terms of the expectations that I had today, I wanted to be able to share a good story, highlight some of the opportunities, and be able to eventually have individuals come and enhance our culture. That is what I was hoping to achieve today. I will see to advance to the next slide to see if there is any Q&A to help with any expectations that you had coming into the presentation today.
Great. Well, that's a great overview of the company, a great high-level view. We're excited to be partnering with you and to be extending more information about the roles to our students. And I'm sure we'll have individual questions. I've got one to start us off is, students who are interested in your company, what kinds of entry-level roles would you recommend to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do have a good amount of roles. Well, I'll start with this. Our member services is a role that we hire probably around 300 to 350 of those types of roles throughout a year. And we've had individuals start in that position and move to every level within the organization, to director and VP, levels, but then also within every function. We've had individuals start in that role and become software engineers and financial analysts, accountants, decision support, IT, HR, you name it. And so there's a lot of opportunity in that regard, in which it is a phenomenal entry point to the organization in which you get so much information. Now, I understand customer service is not really going to be for everybody. We do try to have it be a little unique or different, in which from this role, we have individuals, we certify individuals that want to go out and train on behalf of HealthEquity. And so we will train and certify individuals from our customer service positions to travel on behalf of HealthEquity and go train employees of our partners. So they'll travel to Google and American Express and Capital One and FedEx and train their employees about HealthEquity's benefits as well. And we've sent individuals to 49 of the 50 states. We have not sent somebody to Hawaii yet, but we did get Alaska, and the oil plane jumpers. They spent 3 weeks up there doing that. So that is one great entry point that I don't want to dismiss. Obviously, there's going to be other entry points in which we have, entry-level finance roles, data analytics or data operations roles, a good amount of other operational roles, which will be referenced as like reimbursement or operations in general. So the main takeaway here is there's going to be entry level or entry points in a good amount of, functional areas, but then also being, acknowledging that the customer service route is a great way for a lot of individuals to launch a meaningful career internally as well.
Okay. Could you explain a little bit about what the application and interview process is like for new people?
Yeah, great question. So, and I will recommend, we do have a lot of applications, particularly at this time as well. And so at times we do. So we do have our applicant tracking system, our job postings, HealthEquity.com, and we have a good amount of recruiters being able to review and connect, the applicants to to the right roles. The things that I would say to look to try to stand out is being able to connect and reconnect with some of the right individuals. And so being able to find individuals within my team or myself that is involved in recruiting, being able to connect via LinkedIn or via email. Being able to attend sessions like this. It is very meaningful when job seekers in particular are taking an active role in their interest for their next role. We do have a good amount of individuals that may, passively apply, and that doesn't necessarily stand out. And so how you can take more of an active approach is beneficial. When it comes to our interviewing, we are relatively, how do I put it? I don't want to say lax, but I'll say lax for lack of a better term. We're pretty lax when it comes to interviewing because we want you to be you. We don't want other nerves to potentially distract from the interview. We want to engage in a meaningful conversation through the interview process to really get a sense of, the personality or passion that they're bringing to the table. And one last, I guess, kind of secret that I would share with that, we do talk about passion. So we will ask about, your passion and what you're passionate about, and not passionate about, hard work and working long hours, but passionate about fly fishing or Michigan football or, whatever it may be, whatever lights you up. I mean, that's what speaks out in an interview process with us.
Okay, cool. And another question I've thought students might like to know about is if they don't see a position that's posted on the career site, but they're interested in the company, what would you recommend they do?
That is a great question. I would recommend to make introductions to individuals, being able to connect via LinkedIn. I mean, a lot of great recruiters or talent partners are going to want to connect with candidates continually, and being able to just gain exposure. And so as they're participating in social media or LinkedIn, they can see each other back and forth. It's a way to just stay in touch with the company. So being able to connect with the company via social media aspects, to be able to learn what we're posting, what we're doing, and then to be able to engage with those individuals as well, so we can make connections for when timing can be right. Our recruiting team, they're posting updates on jobs probably daily on LinkedIn. And so if you were to establish a connection, it may be eventually there may be a time in which the right opportunity may be notified in that way.
Okay, cool. I have to say, I don't hear from many recruiting teams that they want students to connect with them on LinkedIn. So I love that difference, that you're accepting those connections and really using them. So thank you. I'm sure we have other people that want to ask questions, so I'll be quiet and let's hear some more. Oh, Matthew, is everyone muted?
Yes, they will have to unmute if they want to
Okay.
ask questions.
Great. If you have a question, please unmute yourself and speak up. This is your opportunity to show that active interest.
Hi, my name is William Woods. I'm an MBA student at the U, and like you, I also went to BYU for my undergraduate degree. So a little bit of, I guess you could say a coat turner, as people used to call it in the Revolutionary War. But I was curious if you have any active or open graduate level positions that you hire for, aside from the entry level positions that were previously discussed.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there an area in particular that best aligns with your background?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm currently looking for a finance position.
Okay. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so I mean, we do. And so to give a little bit of context with our finance areas in particular, with acquiring WageWorks back in August of last year, they had a large presence of finance within the San Mateo, San Francisco location. We have since having a plan to transition a number of those roles from the San Mateo office here to Salt Lake office in particular. We do have, there's one that comes to mind that's currently posted as a financial operations manager. And then we will have some that are along the lines of, I would say decision support it is more or less like financial analytics. It's not deemed as a financial analyst, but there are some aspects tied within the finance world that they're closely tied to the finance area in that regard.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Hello, my name is Rifat Rasul. I'm also a grad student. I'm doing my master's in finance though. And I wanted to follow up with a question on your financial analytics position. So would you go in detail about what kind of analytical background you're looking for, or like technical background you're looking for those financial analytics position?
Yeah, great question. And so I'll be able to speak to it to a relatively, high level, but to provide some context with it is we have a lot of data within our systems, and it can be times to be able to reconcile the single source of truth within certain reporting metrics, and being able to tie or accrue some different financial accounts. You have to have the right single source of truth, the right data. And so we have a data team within our finance, and I'm trying to think of the actual name. I want to say it's data management, but we have a data analytics team within our finance team that is working on a large project due to this acquisition with WageWorks that occurred a few months ago, to be able to do a lot of that reconciliation. In terms of technical skills, I would say that if individuals have the right business acumen with some of the financial acumen, and then also some of the SQL knowledge as well, and then on top of that the personality, the purple aspects that we're looking for, that is most advantageous. So financial acumen, SQL knowledge, and then once again, we believe that we can train a good amount of the technical aspects where needed for the right candidates coming on board.
That helps. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Greg. My name is Joseph, first of all. And first, can you hear me fine?
I can hear you, yes.
Perfect. Yeah, so how does HealthEquity differentiate itself in comparison to their competitors?
Yeah, great question. And so, I alluded to earlier, some of our competitors are well-known, very large, very established. United Healthcare in one way, Fidelity, Bank of America. Those are large institutions that do what we do, but also do a lot of other things as well. And all we do in this space, we are the subject matter experts in what we do. And so we put a lot of emphasis and care. And in times like this, in particular, with what's happening with the economy and COVID, we're able to devote all our attention to our members and their, health and wealth, and their financial acumen here with their accounts. And so it's something where we really do provide and hang our hat on superior customer service and education. Just a lot of emphasis and care in that regard. And that has allowed us to stand out. Just to provide a little bit of context, when I originally started 10 years ago, we were 7th in the industry. So there were 6 other people with more market share above us. And now we are number 2 in terms of market share, and potentially number 1, depending on how the new report. So that focus on service and education really has stood out for our market share growth within our industry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is TK Paulovoy. My question is, what do you think health equity's position is going to be after the whole crisis and pandemic is over?
Oh man, that is a beautiful question, and really it's been evolving. I would say week by week, but it's sometimes day by day, and sometimes hour by hour. And so I'll put it this way: that I know that there's supreme level of care and concern from our executive team to do right by our members and partners, and also our team members. We have been able during this time to provide a small financial bonus to all team members, $500 in their paycheck, to be able to help navigate this weird uncertainty. We were able to provide or mail out packages to be able to be received at home, and they just actually arrived yesterday as a little bit of a care package to help care for the team members during this time. That being said, we're not necessarily immune to the economic uncertainty of what's happening right now. The goal and optimism that I've seen us prevail in the past and have optimism to prevail in the future is that we'll make right decisions to be able to be better positioned in the future. A small example of this is that our business, we have relied on a few third-party partners that have not been able to sustain their business operations as well as we would like during this crisis. And so it's allowed us to focus more on internally, bring more aspects of our business internally so we can be more self-sufficient as well. So we've seen a little bit of growth from that, but then also we're going to have to be pretty agile and adapt as things change and evolve. And I have a good amount of optimism that we will navigate that fairly well.
Okay, do we have some other questions? We just have a couple of minutes left, so this is your opportunity. Yes, I think Jacob, if you'd like to speak up, please take a chance right here. Jacob's one of our career coaches, so he has a question that would help his students.
Hi, so I'm looking at some of your entry-level positions, especially for information technology kind of positions.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't mention having a bachelor's degree, but they want kind of that previous experience. So can you speak to the value of a bachelor's degree versus the years of experience? I'm looking at like a service desk technician position, for example.
Yep. And I will say with that, bachelor's degree can equate to previous experience as well. And the one thing that I kind of alluded to earlier, that job descriptions, are relatively poor. They're limited in certain ways. Many ways that a resume is limited to be representative of the candidate. A job description is limited to be representative of the role. And so I wouldn't have a job description intimidate or discourage individuals from expressing interest and applying. And so experience is relevant, but at the same point of time, bachelor's degree or education is just as relevant and meaningful as well. We don't have it a hard requirement. We don't have like GPA requirements, or for many of our roles, we don't have specific educational requirements because we don't want to be limited by those aspects if the right candidate comes up with the right experience. We want to allow ourselves to be open to be able to hire the right candidate with the right role and skill set. And it doesn't necessarily need to be confined by that limitation. So once again, we've had individuals go directly from our customer service support, directly to service desk technician. And so that was their previous experience. That is fine. So I would still encourage for those help desk, desktop engineers, service desk roles, anybody that has an interest in that background and some relevant experience or education to pursue it. Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you. So I'm hearing some really, why don't you let me know if I'm on track with some of these observations. So students who are interested in the company should reach out. They should connect. They should think deeply about what they're passionate about so that they can convey that clearly to you. They should access LinkedIn, follow the company, learn as much as they can. And they should be interested in growing with the company over a period of time, that there are lots of opportunities for growth within the company, like Alyssa's example of how she was able to leverage the mentorship role aspects of the company and connect with you and to grow her own career. And in terms of benefits, there's some wonderful benefits associated with the company, and making sure that students understand about that, as well as how HSAs figure in terms of the larger healthcare discussion, which is pretty hot. We've taken a sort of step back from that for current, we're not talking about it in terms of politics lately, we're talking about it in terms of our active healthcare situation, but I think this topic's going to continue to be top of mind for so many people going forward. So what else would you like to make sure that students step away with?
That a lot of it is time, and we have, and with ourselves or other companies, we have a lot of roles, constantly, changing, evolving, and not to be discouraged if there are times in which there is an opportunity, but it's not the right time. Once again, I've mentioned that we promote internally quite a bit, and so there'll be times in which a role is posted, but it's gone to an internal, and it's not to any significant disadvantage or lack of qualifications to external candidates. It's just there's a competitive internal applicant that we went for, and so knowing and understanding that time is a key part of finding the right opportunity and right fit, right company, and being an active participant in their job search will pay off.
Super. Well, thank you so much, Greg and Alyssa. It's been delightful to see you and to hear more about what you're doing. We appreciate your time. As we mentioned, this is going to be recorded, or has been recorded. We'll be uploading it to our YouTube channel at the David Eccles School of Business. We have a playlist for Eccles careers. So we'll be sharing this with a larger audience who will be very eager to learn about you, both now and in the future. So thanks very, very much for being with us today. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.